Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Jay Bell. I'm a planner technician here with the Cobb County Planning Department, Long Range Planning Division. Excuse me. Welcome to the 2035 Comp Plan virtual public meeting. I just wanted to put my face out real quick. All the actual correspondence that you get, it comes from me. So you just kind of put in the face with the emails. And I just wanted to welcome you all here, and hopefully you all enjoyed the nice long range experience. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and we'll get started. And Cedric, we'll go ahead and pass it over to you.
Thanks a lot, Jay. Can you guys hear me? Testing.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me wait. Maybe it's about 5:03. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but I want to make sure that we'll allow enough people to get in. So let's give another 2 or 3 minutes, Jay, and then we'll start around about 2 or 3 minutes.
Will do.
Thanks a lot. Hope you guys are enjoying the music. All of this is Jay. He is our media extraordinaire. Also, he's not an ordinary planner technician. So enjoy the sounds, and we'll be with you guys shortly. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. All right. Good. Excellent. Happy holidays, everybody. Good evening and welcome. My name is Cedric Hudson, and I am the planning manager for the DeKalb County Long Range Planning Division of the DeKalb County Planning and Sustainability Department. So we would like to welcome everyone to our second and our last public meeting for the 2021 DeKalb County Comprehensive Plan 5-year update. There will be another opportunity for planning engagement during the public hearing adoption phase of the project. So I promise this will be a painless process, and we are so happy to have you here, and we look forward to your insightful participation throughout this presentation. So before we go any further, just a few house rules. Everyone should be muted during the meeting unless you are making a comment, and we have a chat box for that. Use the raise hand feature so that we can recognize you at the Q&A period of the presentation. Feel free to use the chat feature if you're more comfortable in writing your comments. Hold all of our comments to the end of the presentation if possible. I think everybody knows how to use the chat feature. We've done this a few times, but let's use our chat feature as a sign-in for right now. That will be a good test to make sure that everybody understands how to use that feature. So that way we have a nice sign-in sheet for everyone who is participating this evening. So just type your name and your affiliation. And if you have any problems, just ask Jay, and he can instruct you through that process. Next slide, please. All right, let me get this together. Okay, so basically the purpose is we're here for the 5-year comprehensive plan update, and we really want to look forward to the anticipated timeline for this plan's adoption, which is really a mandated process by the Department of Community Affairs. But for DeKalb County, they allow us to do whatever we need to do to make sure that not only we follow the process and regulations, but make sure that we get your input and your comments, because it is important to us. Without that, the plan could not happen. Next slide. So before I start too much into it, gotta introduce the planning team. This is the Hall of Fame, the Wall of Fame that you see here that makes all the good stuff happen in the planning department. We have Mr. Brian Brewer. He will be speaking later on in reference to land use and intergovernmental coordination. We have Mr. Jay Bell. He introduced himself. He is our planner technician, and he makes these things possible. If you see some of the mailings for the neighborhood registry, which is a tool we use to disseminate a lot of current events and information out of the planning department, that comes from Jay. Also with the website, he coordinates and manages their whole process, and we thank Jay for that. We have Laurel Carell. She is our new planner. She will be speaking throughout the presentation also, and we are so happy to have her. She's been very instrumental with our surveys and the analysis of our surveys and analyzing your responses. And we have Larry Washington. He's our senior planner, but he is also the project manager for comprehensive plan process. And of course, I am Cedric Hudson. My job, I just support everybody here and however they need me. Next slide. Okay, I'm not going to go into everything that's here. You see a green light, you see a stop sign. So everything the plan is green light. Everything is not stop sign. So basically, it's the blueprint for our development and growth in DeKalb County. Okay, it's the foundation for all of our policies and our codes and our land development process and all of those things. It's a tool for decision making for our governing body and our elected officials. It's filled with strategies and policy, and there's always a public process, and this is part of it also. And like I mentioned before, this is a state mandate. And let's keep that in mind. But what it is not regulatory. It is not a zoning code. It is not development code. It impacts those things, but it is not what it is. It is not a catch-all for everything. Okay, so although we touch upon many elements like economic development, community development, natural resources, it is not a catch-all for everything. We have Parks and Rec, which have their own master plan, but we do mention that, and in a few policies, we kind of intertwine policies a little bit, but they have their own master plan process. Community development has their consolidated plan, and even economic development has their strategic economic development plan process, and where they get very detailed about target areas and different policies, or really what makes their planning process click. We work with all those agencies and we coordinate with them, but and even the police department, they have their own planning things. And so they may have some questions about public safety and other things like that. We don't specialize in that, but we do work with those departments, and those other departments have more of a deep dive in some of those specialties. And also, it's not a quick solution. We have what we call a community work program. It used to be the short-term work program. And there are projects and programs listed there in 5-year increments. This comprehensive plan it goes out 20 years. Okay. So there are no quick solutions. There may be some things that you can do short-term, mid-term, but a lot of the policies here, direction is long-term. So it's not a quick solution, for ground level projects that we have. So I just want to make sure that we are clear on what the comprehensive plan is and what it is not. And the majority of this presentation will be based on the green light on what the comprehensive plan is. Next slide, please. Okay, so very briefly, today's agenda, we're going to talk about survey results. There has been a poll out there, or surveys out on our page, and Laura Carrero will be talking about that. We're going to talk about specifically what's being updated in the plan. What is it? 5-year update, it's a minor update. I should mention that there are 2 types of updates in the comprehensive plan. There's a major update every 10 years, and there's a minor update, which is every 5 years. This is the minor update. So things change all the time. So you don't want to wait too long before you make changes. Things change all the time, change every month, every day, every year. And so this 5-year increment gives us a chance to stop and to take note of specifically what those changes are, if any. And so Larry Washington is going to be discussing in detail what's being updated. And also I'll be back to talk to you guys about the timeline, where we are, what are the due dates, and what are the critical milestones. Next slide. All right, I'm going to turn this over at this time. Is it Larry or Laura? Laura, is it?
Me.
It's you, Laura? Okay, Laura, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you guys be in good hands. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Cedric. Yeah, so as Cedric said, we're starting off with the survey results, and the purpose of this survey was to engage DeKalb County residents on elements of the comprehensive plan, what concerns them, and what they think the county should be focusing in the next 10 years. Next slide, please. We asked some details about the respondents of the survey, and then included what age group they were in. As you can see in the chart here, we have the most respondents in the 55 to 64 range, and second and third are on the other sides of that age group, so 45 to 54 and 65 to 74. Next slide. We also asked the respondents where in the county they live, and as you can see here, districts 4 and 2 had the highest participation in the survey, whereas districts 1, 3, and 5 had very similar, slightly lower turnout. And so we are getting some detailed information about all of these districts. Next slide, please. We asked in the survey about growth management and what should be focused on in DeKalb County. This included, the categories included infrastructure, water and sewer, housing, and natural resources. 39% of respondents said that infrastructure should be focused on. 30% said water and sewer should be focused on. 13% said housing, and 18% said natural resources. Next slide, please. We also asked, what is the quality of life in DeKalb County? And we had the highest amount of respondents say that the quality of life in DeKalb County is good. We had 4% say excellent, 29% say fair, and 2% say poor. We also asked if quality of life in DeKalb County is improving, declining, or remaining the same. And of the 94 respondents, we had 42% say that it is improving. 25% said declining, and 33% said remaining the same. Here we have a word cloud, and you may have seen one of these before, but just to give a little bit of background, a word cloud is a way for us to visually see the highest amount of turnout for words in a response to a question. So we saw for this question, what is the greatest challenge facing DeKalb County, and what should the county plan for in the next 10 years? And as you can see here, many of the answers had the words development, housing, affordable, traffic, roads, transportation, sewer, and the list goes on, but those are the ones that were mentioned the most often. We also asked what the greatest strengths of DeKalb County are. And we can see here that diversity, location, neighborhoods, I saw proximity to Atlanta pretty frequently, parks, DeKalb County, trees, green space, geology, lots of strengths in DeKalb County. We also asked what the county's greatest asset is. 45% said affordable housing, 25% said recreational opportunities, 20% said sense of community, and 11% said natural habitat. Additionally, we asked what types of housing are most needed in DeKalb County. 44% said single family detached, 34% said senior living facilities, 13% said apartments, and 9% townhomes. Plus, we asked, is DeKalb doing good in preserving historic and natural resources? And 62% said yes. Also, is DeKalb County providing adequate services to its residents? 57% said yes. We asked about when developing policy for future residential development, what should the county place more emphasis on? 43% said low density residential single family housing. 50% said low density and medium density housing, and 7% said high density housing. Plus, we asked about, should office professional character remain in the comprehensive plan? 48% said yes, 28% said no, and 24% said maybe. We also asked about land use, and we asked if any of the following land use types should be encouraged, discouraged, have no change, or no opinion. And you can see here that 67.4% said residential development, single family housing should be encouraged. 42.5% said residential developments of multi-unit dwellings should be encouraged. 77.6% said affordable housing should be encouraged. 79.1% said senior assisted living should be encouraged. 93.1% said public green space should be encouraged. And 94% encouraged the protection of land use area, open space land use. And I'm going to turn it over to Larry to talk about what's being updated in the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Laura. Again, my name is Larry Washington. I'm one of the senior planners with the Long Range Division, and I will be talking about what's being updated in the comprehensive plan. Here are a few elements that we are updating in the comprehensive plan. One is the land use. We are updating the demographics, report of accomplishments, as well as the community work program. We also doing maintenance and making minor adjustments to the dock, and then also the community needs and more. So I'll start with demographics. The updates that we're doing in demographics is the basics, the population, median household income, education, housing, employment, and age distribution. The county is coordinating with ARC on job, housing balance, as well as any other forecasting. And due to COVID-19, the 2021 data will not be released until July 2021. So the data that we're using now is being supplemented by the 2020 Esri data. Also, what we're updating is the natural historic resources, which includes Stone Mountain Park, Arabian Mountain Heritage Area, and Soapy Stone Ridge. There's no substantive change in this section. However, you will see a different format when you see it in the comprehensive plan moving forward. The intergovernment coordination, I'll let Brian expound a little bit on this. He have worked on this in 2007 and ongoing. Brian, would you care to add a little bit of textual context to this?
Yes, thank you, Larry. Yes, from time to time, I heard Cedric mention earlier about the two different types and styles of comprehensive plan updates between minor and major. There's a section in the document that correlates with the service delivery strategy. And we have to update that section either when a new city comes on, or we have to do a major update to the document where we verify and make any changes to the service delivery strategy to make sure that the coordination of services to citizens in DeKalb County does not suffer from overlap.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. I'll continue. We are also updating the county and local plan updates. The staff is updating, and we're adding a Memorial Drive revitalization plan, which was adopted in September. We also are adding the I-20 East MARTA Transit Oriented Development Plan. We're adding an updated consolidated plan, the Parks and Recs Master Plan, and as well as the Strategic Economic Development Plan, which is pending. Next slide, please. And the land use. So for those who are not quite familiar with the land use, and I believe we do have a lot of students of land use on the call, but nevertheless, the process of the land use is the process of regulating the use of land in efforts to promote more desirable social and environmental outcomes, as well as more efficient use of resources. This is what we're updating in the land use. We're adding a TOD overview, which will speak more to the guiding principle of how development should take place around our TOD areas, such as Kensington Station and Indian Creek Station. We also are revisiting office professional. We are removing removal of the HC from the summary table for consistency. We have updated the future land use map and the future development map. All the amendments that went before the Community Council, Planning Commission, as well as the BOC, we are adding those amendments, those land use amendments that took place between 2017 to 2020. You should see those amendments in the update of the comp plan. And also you should see a new look and format of change on the comprehensive of this update as well. There are no new policies that you will see in the land use section. Not sure what happened. And one other thing too that we're adding is the Memorial Drive revitalization small area plan as well.
Larry, I like to add and cut in just a quick sec. We're also adding the Briarcliff Claremont small area plan. If you guys had seen that in the November Board of Commissioners hearing, that was a new plan. The impetus for that, there was some change. Like I said earlier, there are changes all the time with land use in different parts of the county. And so that being one, being the small area plan, to where it's kind of unique within what we call a neighborhood center, as you can see there, which allows up to 24 dwelling units an acre. But there are some unique characteristics about that in reference to density and building height, which affects the land use. And so the small area plan for that will be a new addition. That's something that was just added by the commissioners in the most recent cycle, I think about a week ago. All right, Larry.
Thank you, Cedric. Next slide, please. As Cedric just mentioned, the proposed new character area, the Urban Activity Center, is being proposed now. You'll hear more about it in the 2050 comprehensive plan update, but it's proposing a density from an area of the type of density that will allow up to 70 units to an acre, up to 95 dwelling units per acre, with a minimum of 8 stories. So again, you'll hear more about this as we charter into the 2050 comprehensive plan.
Two words about that, Larry, also.
Sure.
Is just, and it supports, as you can see at the very end where it says small area plan. And so we have to really make sure that all sections of the plan in terms of policy and land use are in sync. And so this Urban Activity Center helps to make sure that small area plan that was approved kind of keeps things in sync in terms of our land use and the rationale behind the land use of a density and building height and different permitted zoning, and also the primary uses or the allowable uses that fit for that small area plan. So all of those things pretty much jive. And also there may be other areas in the county that may be suited for that area, because specifically that is something that fits right in between something we currently don't have. You know, okay, so we have a town center, which is up to 60 dwelling units an acre, and then it kind of skips the regional center, which is 120 and above. And so we just never really had anything in between. If we had developments and that kind of fit between that gap of activity centers. And so it went pretty well. We have a lot of community support behind that small area plan. And it was also a recommendation within that SAP that we think about moving towards an urban activity center. So all of those things seem to fit. The timing of it seems to be good because of the update of the comprehensive plan. So we thought it'd be a great time to go ahead and to see how it goes in terms of making additions and necessary edits to the comprehensive plan land use section. Okay, Larry.
Thank you, Serge, for adding an addition to that. So we'll move on to the next update elements will be the report of accomplishment. This requires every department in the county to report back on their county work program from the past 5 years. And I would like to give you a little bit more information on that. For instance, as an example, the planning department, we have updated the SDS, as Brian talked about earlier, to include the city of Tucker and Stonecrest. The police department has purchased an enhanced 911 software within the past 5 years. And Parks and Recs have implemented a capital improvement plan for a new facility in existing parks. So that's exactly what you would see when you look at the report of accomplishment in the comprehensive plan. But if you're looking for not what they did in the past 5 years, but what they're going to do in the next 5 years, well, the community work program is what you are looking for, right? The community work program is the DeKalb County departments are required to develop a list of projects that they intend on completing within the next 5 years. So I put some examples here. For instance, as we were talking about earlier in the conversation, the planning department in the 2050 Unified Plan will be underway and completed in 2021. The community development will be constructing a new recreation center, and that will be completed in 2022. And go back to the police department. The police department will be building a new east precinct that will be completed in 2026. So anytime you want to know what the department is doing or departments are doing within the county, feel free to look in the comprehensive plan and see what they did in the report of accomplished in the last 5 years and see what they are scheduled or slated to do for the next 5 years in the community work program. It's a great place to get some resources on what's taking place in the county. Also, we talked about new elements, the new DCA required element, which is broadband, and I'll let Brian speak a little bit more on the new element, which is broadband. Brian?
Oh yeah, thank you, Larry. This is actually much more of a state of Georgia initiative, and the focus is on the expansion and development of rural broadband, but as a part of comprehensive planning requirements, they added this component to the plan. And so as staff, we took a look at the current levels of access we have in the county. You know, it looked pretty strong, but wanted to make sure that we have documented the block groups, census block groups that show levels of service in the document, and then we can take a look at adding perhaps something to the community work program that addresses some of the block groups that show low or no service.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. I noticed that something came through the chat about the volume. Am I being heard pretty clear? I am? Okay. Well, we'll continue. The next element that we're updating is really just, we look at the comp plan often, long range division. So what we do, we log all of the errors and mistakes and things that we have seen within the comp plan, and and hold those items for the next adoption. And so what you would see us updating serial errors. We will also be updating the land use, intergovernmental, and revising population and adding Stonecrest. And as Brian mentioned, the broadband is a new element that we will also be updating. So just minor updates. And again, this is a small 5-year update plan that we will be updating. The major will be the 2050 comprehensive plan update that's right behind this one. Next slide. All right, so I thought it was necessary to talk about the public engagement and what DCA requires, which is the Department of Community Affairs requires when it comes to public outreach. They require for us to have one steering committee meeting. They also requires for us to have one public meeting, but DeKalb County wanted to do more. So of course we met the minimum requirements, and we had 2 steering committee meetings. We are having 2 public meetings, which will be more because we will actually end up going through the public hearing cycle. So there are 3 more meetings to follow this one. We also created surveys to get feedback from the public. We also created a public project website. And again, we'll be bringing this back before our Community Council and Planning Commission, as well as the Board of Commissions for adoption. So I'll move next to the timeline, and I'll let Cedric talk about the timeline and where we are going from here. Cedric?
Thank you very much, Larry. We are on time. That's what all this stuff says. It says we are on time. It's due October 29th, 2021. And so we started this process end of last year, early part of this year. And so from January to August, we put in a lot of legwork. The pandemic actually helped us to stay focused and to do a lot more work than normally we would not have had opportunity to do. So it actually helped us between the months of January and August during plan development, as you can see. And so we actually contacted the Department of Community Affairs even before we got started, just to make sure that all of our check boxes were as they needed to be in moving forward with DCA regulations, to make sure we put everything where it needs to be. So we've had that discussion already, and so that's what we've been working towards. Steering committee, August, we started our steering committee meetings. Back then, we've had 2 meetings. Most recent meeting has been, I think, about a week ago today. And this is our second public meeting that we're having with this project. So we are very much on time, as you see, with our public engagement, moving towards our final plan. We pretty much have the document pretty much in shape. In terms of DCA, we're about 90–95% complete in terms of DCA check boxes, so we think we are. So we have things in order, and so at this point, we are still open to comments. Now, this is a 5-year update. Don't worry. I mean, we won't solve all of the world's problems in the comprehensive plan. And we have another plan right behind this, which is the major plan. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But we are on time. We plan to send this document to DCA, submit it to them first quarter of next year, 2021. So first quarter, hopefully by March or the early part of that quarter, we can send that to DCA. Generally what happens during that process is once we submit and have all our check boxes together, they will review the document. They have a 45 to 60 day mandatory review period. What happens? They have a whole lot of a stack of other or a queue of other reviews to do other than the DeKalb counties. And so when our time comes up in the queue, they'll review it. And if they see some things that warrant discussion or edit, they'll give us a call. So we work with their staff to make sure that we get everything in place so that we will be in compliance. And so once that happens, and in the meantime, while it's with DCA, we will prepare an agenda item for the comprehensive plan for public hearing, because that is part, adoption of this is part or the final piece for approved regulations and verifications for DCA. So they'll get it to a point and say, okay, you guys have got everything in place except for the adoption. Once you guys adopt the comprehensive plan, send it to us, and generally you get your verification. And so you don't want to play around with that timeline. That's why we're starting everything early. We want to get everybody's comments and every question that we can get prior to this thing getting adopted next year, because you don't want to wait until October 29th, or you don't want to wait until September or even August to send this thing to DCA talking about you want them to look it over and everybody's got questions. We want to make sure that we have enough time and give yourself a little wiggle room for if there are some questions and some edits and some things that you really need to work on to tighten up in the process. We've been through this many times before. This will be my 3rd or 4th. I lose track, but this is at least my 4th or 5th comprehensive plan updating. And so I kind of know how DCI operates. They've changed through the years, but one thing that has not changed is if you do not get this document in the DCA on time or verified on time, you put the county's QLG in jeopardy, qualified local government status. You don't want to mess with that. So if you're late getting this thing verified, and it's not, you have to have it verified before and adopted before October 2021. So all of these things I'm talking about edits and going back and forth and public engagement, those things have to be out of the way prior to that time. If we do not get that done in time, then you're subject to whatever state funding of permitting and projects that we have in the county, not just the county, but also the cities within the county. Production stops and you stop getting permits and funding for those permits until you get this comprehensive plan verified. So it's a serious business when it comes to that. So that's why we don't want to waste time in terms of being, you know, if we're early, we're on time. If you're on time, you're late. I grew up with that. So I had a band director that told me that, and he had the door shut. You call yourself being on time. So if we're early, we're on time. If we're on time, we're late. Right now, we are early because we expect to be on time. And so generally, that's the entire process. October 29th, but all the dates that you see here, that is on our project web page. If you want to review that a little bit more in detail, or feel free to ask me any questions you have in terms of that timeline. Next slide, please. Okay, I want to thank everybody for your participation for this. There are different ways for comments. We're going to have a little time. I want to be respectful of everyone's time because it is in the evening. People have been working all day. We have a few moments for Q&A. Larry is here. Everybody is here. I want Laurel or Larry to tell everybody about how they can submit their comments to us in writing. If they don't want to do it at this time, you may think of something after the meeting that you would like to tell us. And we have, I think, a form, a real quick one that you can, hey, this is burning, and we can get to it and you can get that comment to us. So Laurel, you want to tell, or Jay, tell everybody about that process?
I can speak to that real quick. So you may have gotten an email. You should have gotten an email prior to the meeting starting, and that is a perfect opportunity that you can submit detailed questions and concerns regarding different sections of the comprehensive plan update, and we'll also paste that in the chat in case you were not on that email list. But yeah, anything that we can give feedback on or that we can include in our update, I think that would be an ideal place for you to put it. And whatever we can get to on the meeting today, we will answer those questions. So
thank you, Lauren. So at this time, you could, the floor is open for questioning. Again, we would prefer questions that are addressing the 5-year comprehensive plan update. But any other questions, again, we could direct those comments to the respective departments and make sure that you get a response back from there. So the floor is open. You can raise your hand and Jay Bell will acknowledge you and we'll go from there.
Okay, looks like I see 2 hands raised. Give me one moment. One is Mike Cooper. All right, Mr. Cooper, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Why has the draft of the comprehensive plan been removed from the website? If you go to the toolbox on the web page and click on where it says draft 5-year update comprehensive plan, it's not there. Instead, there's a 34-page executive summary. The full text of the plan is not currently on the website.
I'll answer that. And Jay, just double check that, Jay, just to make sure that we have those there. We do have the comprehensive plan complete, and it may just be a technical glitch, but the draft is complete. In terms of draft of the plan, is about, I don't know, 300 pages or something like that. So whenever you have a large document on the website, especially with the county's website, we work with Drupal. So it's always, you know, it's never a seamless process. We make it look a lot easier than what it really is, but we'll check that for you, Mike, and get that straight for you. Okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely have get on that first thing in the morning to inspect that and see what I need to do with IC to get that taken care of and corrected. All right, the next person I see is Ms. Victoria Webb, and okay, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you, everybody, and thank you for holding this meeting. I really appreciate it. This kind of question kind of ties into the parks issue. Is the county considering saving land for the future? And by that, I mean climate change. We're seeing development along stream buffers. We always have variances that developers request to encroach into a stream buffer. We have bodies of water all over DeKalb County, you know, tributaries, creeks, streams. In other states, they are saving land for the future. And by that, I mean they are saving land for future development in terms of their current areas will not be developable. You know, some of these areas cost a lot of money to mitigate once you're developed. It creates extra stormwater runoff. So that's my question. I think New Jersey's doing that along their coastal areas, but we're inland, but we have a lot of water because we have a lot of streams. So that's something that I hope that the county is looking at and considering. Thank you.
Okay, looks like I see Mr. Lance Hammond's hand up. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, just a quick question. I put it in the chat also, but one is I was asking about, since you had a low response to the survey, is it a valid survey? And then the other question I had for the group is that, you know, in our area, you know, we're getting a lot more density with single family homes and townhomes moving into the area. But when you look at the amount of commercially zoned land for retail and shopping areas, that's lacking. Is that addressed in this 5-year plan, or is that somewhere else?
I'll take part A of that question. As it relates to the survey, is it a valid survey? I want to say yes, because people did take the time out to participate and give their response on how they feel about some of the elements that they saw in the survey. Also, what we're attempting, and we talked about, is to how do we elevate and educate more people about the comprehensive plan? Because if you look at lately, since the pandemic, we have been experiencing the county, the community councils, the planning commissions, and the board of commissioners participation up in the hundreds. And the reason why is because people are interested in what's going on in their community. But as it comes to or related to the comprehensive plan, I think it's not, their awareness is just not there. We sent this the invite out to the countywide communication platform, which housed roughly 6,000 people. We also have our own planning database where we sent you know, the invite out as well, and we still somehow get low participation. And we are just, you know, accredited to that, the simple fact that it's just not enough education about the importance of the comprehensive plan. So this survey is valid. I want to, you know, make that known, and for people who have taken their time and effort to complete it, we appreciate that. And your comments will be disseminated to the respective departments, and hopefully those issues and those particular community goals that you're looking for will be put into that community work program to work on in the near future. And I'll let another planner take a look or a stab at the follow-up question that you had, part B.
Brian, I'll let Brian take that one.
Okay, thank you, Cedric. I think just want to make certain, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as I understand it, just want to be sure when you think of the property zoning and how we look at the relationship to land use, which is sort of a broader vision for the possibilities of how land can be used, whereas zoning is the actual specific uses per their zoning designation. We don't have what you might call a commercial land use. We have activity centers, and then we have more industrial land uses, but commercial is allowed in many of our activity centers and some of our corridor designations. Suburban as well offers the opportunity for commercial zonings as well. But in terms of the plan, sort of picking out where that's going to take place, we leave it broad. So I'll give you an example. When I look at let's just say the corner of Rock Bridge and Deshaun Road. Okay, so in the plan, that area is designated like a neighborhood center. Okay, there are significant commercial uses in the area, but it also would allow for, say, some medical offices, or it has a grocer. It may allow for some light um, professional offices, restaurants. So we use land use much more broadly. And everywhere you see these sort of centers in our communities are where the comprehensive plan takes a look at where commercial can take place, where we can allow for the mixture of residential and commercial to take place. Now, when we look at the zoning of properties, we do try where we can to coordinate with property owners who can either apply and change their zoning to something commercial, but we are dependent solely on like market factors for that. Does that address your question? Was that Mr. Hammond?
I think
One
so.
moment. Okay, here we go, Mr. Hammond. You can go ahead now.
Yeah, that answers it. So it is, so that commercial, when I say commercial, like stores and retail, that would be included in whatever the plan is, like you said. So thank you for the answer.
You're welcome.
Okay, I do have Tess Snipes with the hand raised. You can go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for this presentation. Certainly, this year has been quite unusual, but it's had a severe impact on commercial activity, restaurants, retail, as well as how we work and educate. So how much are you going to take this into consideration with your recommendations for the plan?
Larry?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have learned so much during this time, Tess. So we are incorporating these tools and methods that we're using now, moving forward in every variation of our plan, especially the 2050 Unified Plan, because what we noticed that we are able to reach more people, and more people are able to attend our meetings, such as the comprehensive plan, such as Memorial Drive, such as Glenwood and Columbia. We have had record participation, and we feel that the way that we are meeting now should continue. Not saying that, hey, we would want to see the beautiful faces of our citizens. However, we just want to maximize as much as possible attendance, feedback, and recommendations from DeKalb County to continue to improve the quality of life. So as we get ready to embark upon the 2050 Unified Plan, we encourage feedback from you, Tess, from other community council members, to let us know exactly any other methods that they think we should be utilizing to reach the masses and build on what we are doing now. So thank you for that question. And Tess,
I'm not talking about how we reach the masses. I'm talking about what we're actually doing in terms of the plan. I'm talking about, the land uses, because retail is not going to continue as it's been. There's definitely a shift there. The way we work from home is definitely shifting. And so I think that, the input that you received from the community and your considerations for doing the plan have to be impacted by what's going on right now. So how is that being reflected in our future planning?
great. Andrew just actually raised his hand and he wanted to comment on that. So I'll let Andrew comment on that. Jason, if you can unmute Andrew. And
Yes.
Okay, Andrew, you are live.
Great. I appreciate the question. And I think that what we have to keep in mind is that this is actually just a 5-year or a minor update to the comprehensive plan. I think that what's going on with the pandemic and the ways that future retailers are going to be operating and adjusting to the last mile of distribution and deliveries is going to change, and then working from home and the way the office space will work, it's going to change what we do in the major update to the comprehensive plan. So it's our intent, as we just got approved to do the major update, is to actually consider all those in more depth, in detail, in that particular study. And I think that later on, in future meetings, they'll be talking about the major update to the comprehensive plan. But we hear you, Test, on your suggestions, and I'm sure that those considerations will be part of that major update to the comprehensive plan.
Okay, there is another question from Shante. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. DeKalb County has an extreme lack of affordable housing. Does the 5-year comprehensive plan include or allow for the development of tiny or container homes?
So again, in the 2050 comprehensive plan, unified plan, we will be addressing affordable housing. That's one of the elements that a new element that we will be adding. Hopefully from that, we will be developing policies, housing policies from that. So if you would just stay tuned with us and, be engaged into the 2050 unified plan, we will be bringing those conversations up, because I think the housing options are changing. You have more people are interested in tiny homes and cottage homes, and what does they look like in our comprehensive plan. So we do not address it in the 5-year update, but we are intending to address it in the 2050 unified plan. Is there any more other questions? I know we are approaching the time of 6 o'clock. We do want to respect your time. So we have 1 more minute. We can take another question. If not, again, Laura mentioned about the comment card. Feel free to, if you think of something, send it in on the comment card. We will circle back around and give you a response on that survey comment card. If not, we'll hold off another minute, and we'll wait for any more comments.
And I want to thank everybody for participating. All the questions were great. And in terms of the actual document, there will definitely be there tomorrow. Sorry about it not being, it's been there a whole while, but we made some edits from the last meeting. And so it's probably mixed up with that or something, but glitches happen. This is, technology ages and things are not perfect. We apologize for that. And we will definitely get that document up there for you tomorrow. And Jay can also, if you leave your email there, and if you are part of the neighborhood registry, Jay will send that link out within the neighborhood registry tomorrow once that gets up and once it gets active. You guys have put a lot of participation into it, a lot of work into it. And so we definitely want you guys to be a part of it and see what's going on within the new format, within the new update, and what we plan on sending to DCA. So Jay will send that to you. I think we had a question from or something from Mr. McKnight about that link. We will send that to you also. Got your question. Thanks. Long time no hear. So we will wait for another minute or two. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I know we have a minute, but I do see that there's 2 hands that are raised right now. So the first one would be Victoria Webb.
Yes,
okay,
thank you. Thank you. I think at the last meeting, we asked whether the steering committee members could be posted on your public website. I haven't been to that website in a couple of weeks, so I don't know if you've rectified that, but we weren't aware who your steering committee was. So we just wanted, that would be great to know. That was just my one question. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it may have been posted. We'll double check because we did disseminate that information, I know, to some individuals who did ask for it. And maybe we just sent it directly to them, but we will definitely have that posted as well. So Jay, if you can note that when you check the draft to be on site, just to make sure that we have also posted the members of the steering committee. Thank you.
Okay, will do. And the last is Frank. You can go ahead, sir.
All right,
Hello.
thank you.
I'm sorry?
Oh,
This is Alice Bussey.
Okay, I'm not sure how that one got unmuted, but it should be Frank right now.
right. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is Frank. Thank you. Just a quick one. So I just moved into the Atlanta metro area, and I'm, looking for a place to stay. And I saw this meeting, and I decided to join. Just a quick one. So, with regards to the survey results on land use, I did not see anything on TODs or mixed land use. Is that something that is being addressed somewhere else?
Yes, TOD is in the plan. So once we get that up, you can see the TOD where they're located. Offhand, we had a TOD I-20 plan that linked land use and transportation planning. Some of those areas that were identified were I-20 and Panola Road, 285 in Covington, and Kensington, and I think also Indian Creek that were part of that project. And it goes in some detail about some visionary about land use concepts and some open space and everything, all the elements that are important with TOD. So make sure that you leave your information in the chat box, your name and your email address. Also, you should probably be a member of our neighborhood registry. And you can send Jace, put your email address out there so that he can send you an email address. Therefore, when the new link to the comprehensive plan comes out, you will be on that mailing.
So,
Not you, Jason Bell, and he's going to let you know, and you send your information to his email. Go ahead,
right. Yeah. No, this is Frank. This is Frank again.
Okay, he's got it in there. jbell@dekalbcountyga.gov.
Sure. All right, but just a quick one. So, on the survey itself, were respondents given the were TOD or mixed land use options on the survey questions?
There was questions on mixed use development, and that was tied in with the urban density. Was it did the community want to see more of the low or medium or high density mixed use development? That was tied in, but the TOD specifically not tied into the survey. However, as Cedric mentioned, you will see it in the draft where it gives guiding principles of how development should be encouraged around our transit development or development stations, such as Kensington and Indian Creek. So please take a look at the draft, and you'll definitely see the TOD as well.
What I can do in addition to that, send me an email also, chudson@dekalbcountyga.gov. I will send you a link to the TOD study. It's the MARTA I-20 TOD plan. And so it goes into some detail about those TODs in DeKalb County. Send me an email and I'll get
Thank you. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
All right. Considering that we are past the time and I am seeing no more hands raised, I'm going to prepare and close adjourn the meeting. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming out and joining us in the update of the 5-year comprehensive plan. Please stay tuned. We will be coming before the community council again to just talk about what's being updated again as we prepare to put it on the zoning cycle. And also stay tuned for the 2050 comprehensive plan, unified plan, which we are very excited about. We would love your participation in that process. So you will be getting communication from Jay Bell on the next steps with that as well. So thank you again. We really appreciate it. May God bless you and you have a good night.